Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, a Friday afternoon chat session with you guys. I'm going to go over one of the questions of the day that was just posted this week, and that is, should baseball fields all have the same dimensions? Well, you guys came in with a resounding answer. It was almost unanimous. I'm trying to find the poll here, but I think it was like 51 to 5 that you guys said, hell no, they should not all be the same. And I'm just trying to find the poll result. You see, I'm prepared here. Uh, make it official. And let's see what we got. Hold on, kids. How's everybody doing out there in TV land? Uh, the answer was 50 people said no, they should not all be the same, and 4 agreed on the fact that maybe they should all be the same. So I'm going to give you my opinions on that. As a child who grew up loving baseball in the 70s, I couldn't stand the cookie cutter stadiums. Uh, went to Shea Stadium. That was bearable because of the fact it was outdoors and it was grass and it didn't hold the heat well. I mean, it didn't hold the heat well. You got a cool breeze coming off of Flushing Bay. But all these other cookie cutter stadiums I visited at one time or another were just horrendous. You had a hot summer day in July and August, and it was brutal. And all the dimensions were the same, and all the ballparks looked the same. You had Three Rivers, you had Veterans, you had Riverfront, and to me, you couldn't tell what ballpark they were playing in. Had no character whatsoever. Now, as a fan growing up back then, uh, I knew nothing else, so it wasn't like, okay, what else can we do? Uh, uh, I missed the actual only real ballpark I was going to as a youth was Yankee Stadium. Eventually, I ended up going to visited Fenway, Wrigley, and some of the other more classic ballparks, and I could tell when I visited those ballparks, those were the ballparks I had the best experience at, and I enjoyed myself the most at. There's something about you, the feel of being at a baseball game with uniqueness in the ballpark, uniqueness in the dimensions. I've sat out in the right field porch at Yankee Stadium when you're right on top of Paul O'Neill, and you can't beat that. I mean, just to be in the same ballpark with Babe played, with a short right field fence, and deep left center, it made Yankee Stadium so unique, the old Yankee Stadium. And dimensions are similar in the new one, but I just loved it. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better place to go to a ball game than one of the older ballparks with their unique dimensions. Now, I get where you guys are coming from. Uh, Baseball is a unique sport. There is no clock in the game, so that makes it unique. There is no set dimension in the playing field like in basketball. Hockey in the old days, due to the fact that the arenas were smaller, you had smaller ice sizes in some of the places, but all the new arenas that are being built for hockey all have the same dimensions. Football field has always been the same size, but that's the beauty of baseball, where every playing surface basically is different in dimensions, and just the ballpark itself with the airflow and the way the stands are designed makes beautiful baseball so unique. And I love it. I personally love it, and I would never change it. Uh, would I ever consider a uniform stadium size and dimensions? Maybe for international competition, if you wanted to have like at the Olympic level. But then I guess everyone would be playing like the later games in the same stadium anyway, so it would be uniform. So you can't tailor your ball club to a certain stadium and have an advantage. But as far as the major leagues are concerned, I would never ever change it. And as you can see, when I do these broadcasts, I'll put comments up that other people have made and what they had to say, and I'll put it up in banners and the ticker below. And you guys came up with some excellent stuff. But yes, no matter what happens in baseball, no matter how bad your team is, going to a ballpark is a unique experience. And I think seeing the game on a field that's unique amongst all the other 30 ballparks makes the experience all that much more better. And again, I think it tugs at your heartstrings when you talk about a Fenway, Connie Mack Stadium, all these great ballparks in the past, Camden Yards, where you remember being at the ballpark. You might not even remember the game. You just remember the nuances of the field and the dimensions and everything else. And again, that is one of the beauties of baseball. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I guess you guys know where I'm coming from. And yes, my answer is no. Ballpark should never be the same dimensions whatsoever. As you can see, I'm putting up some comments that you guys had, and like Brett Bamford said, no way. I think the difference between parks is one of the best things about the sport. It also makes baseball unique among the other sports, and I couldn't agree more. And Ken Wingate, who's always good for a little humor, says the current stadiums are perfect for our imperfect world. And isn't that what baseball is all about? A little escape from the real world. So hats off to Ken for that one. He's usually spot on with his comments. He sees the big picture. Donald Holland, one of the beauties of baseball is the imperfect stadium dimensions enclosing the perfect infield dimensions. And that's a good point. We have to remember that the infield is always uniform, but the rest of the field isn't. And he goes, that's the beauty and uniqueness at Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, and Camden Yards. And Rick, as you can see in the banner below, Rick Rayo, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, says the environment also plays a big part. Like in hockey and basketball, you're playing indoors in a controlled environment, but you also have weather, elevation, winds, sun, clouds, fog, whatever, on top of unique baseball stadiums that make the experience so great. So that's another reason why it's always good to play the game outdoors, because I know this is shying away from the field dimensions. It's just that and on any given day, you can have a condition that you've never experienced before when you go to the ballpark. And you have to see how the players adapt and how the game unfolds, etc. And it's part of the beauty of the game. And Jess Potente, I hope he's saying your name. Why do you guys have names I can't pronounce? Or maybe I just can't pronounce names in particular. Sorry, Jess. Didn't mean to single you out. But I hope I'm saying your name right with Jess Potente. No way. Case in point, look at Koufax stats in Ebbets versus Dodger Stadium versus everywhere else. And I guess that's where a team can really take advantage of the home field advantage. Like the Yankees always stack that lineup up with left-handed hitters who could take advantage of right field porch. Again, I'm New York based, so the Mets in the old Shea Stadium, that was a pitcher's ballpark. They geared their team towards power pitchers and not necessarily a great offensive lineup, and it did the job for them at Shea Stadium. Then you had ballparks where there was a launching pad, like Wrigley Field before all these newer ballparks were built. That was the ultimate home run hitting ballpark. That and Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where if the wind was blowing out in Wrigley, you had a big home field advantage too. If it was blowing in, it became a pitcher's park. But that's what made Wrigley so unique in the 70s with the cookie cutter ballparks, is a lot of teams didn't play in ballparks like Chicago until they actually went to Wrigley and experienced the uniqueness of Wrigley. And then our good friend Joey Buchholz says, no, the beauty of baseball is each park has its own character. And that kind of sums it all up. So you guys did a good job on this one. I'm glad, I don't play favorites on what the outcomes of these questions or polls are, but I was so glad to see that it was a 50-4 vote that no, baseball should not have uniform stadiums, because by golly, that's what makes baseball so good. So again, thanks to all who responded. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And as always, if you like the video, hit like. If you don't, hit don't like. If you have a comment, leave a comment. And subscribe to Baseball Way of Life on YouTube. That way you'll get all the updates and videos at your convenience, and you'll know when they're coming up. So once again, thanks again. Have a great day. Play ball, and adios.